Hey, Assalamualaikum, I'm Shafina, and this is
Naseem.
on this week's episode to Road to Happiness. We're going to go ahead and get started. It's going to be a little bit different, so if I may.
Of course.
Okay, so there's so many topics that we could talk about, but I have something here that I wanted to read out loud.
Yeah, sure. Go for
Okay, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so it says, pay attention to your own emotional anxiety. Okay. Choosing someone you don't feel safe with emotionally is not a good recipe for a long-lasting and loving marriage. Feeling emotionally safe is the foundation of a strong and healthy marriage. When you don't feel safe, you can't express your feelings and opinions. Learn how to identify whether you are in an abusive relationship if you feel you always have to monitor what you say, if you are with someone and you feel you can't really express yourself and are likely always walking on eggshells, then it's very likely you are in an abusive relationship.
So that's a quote from a friend and also a marriage coach, Wajiha Amin. I saw that on her post now. That really attracted me, and I come across that myself as well. So I thought, let's discuss it.
Okay. And already just reading that itself, I feel like this is a unfortunately common problem. It's a very common thing and it goes around a lot, and I don't think people are aware of it actually being an abusive relationship, because when we think abusive, it's a bit of a deep, dark topic.
It is.
But let's just touch
base. But a Saturday night's a really deep topic.
So no, but on a serious note, I feel like this topic needs to be addressed, because some of these topics I feel like don't get discussed or shouldn't be discussed, or we're not allowed to, or culturally it's not okay. But you know what, I'm here to just break a few of those boundaries and barriers. So some people think that an abusive relationship is a physical one. Okay,
that's kind of go-to. That's what kind of people think when you say that.
Yeah. However, when they think about, they don't think about abusive relationships being an emotional one. I don't think anyone takes that seriously, and I feel personally that they think you're just crazy and you're overreacting, and you should be grateful if the person hasn't hit you. What are your thoughts, Naseem? I don't even know how to.
It's a tough one. So basically things like, if you're scared to say that you're working late, or you're scared to say that you're meeting a certain friend, or you're doing a certain thing because you know that reaction's not going to be good, and you're not able to be open and honest with like what you're doing. There's nothing necessarily wrong with what you're doing. You just know that certain things will maybe trigger him off or trigger her off, depending on who it is that's in that situation. And you might not even know it. You just think, all right, okay, I need to go home for this time because I don't want to get into a fight, or I don't want to say anything. Whereas there's nothing necessarily wrong with what you're doing. Your gut will tell you that this happened before, so you can be very careful about kind of being honest and being direct about actually what you're thinking, because you're scared of what's going to come next.
So you're telling me some people are in an abusive relationship and aren't even aware that they're in an abusive relationship because they just think
they're avoiding a fight.
And that's actually an abusive relationship.
It is, if you're not able to freely speak your mind and say what you think, and for the person to say, well, look, I don't agree, let's talk about it. It goes straight to argument, or straight to you being targeted, or straight into a fight, which obviously is coming, so you'll try and avoid it.
That's quite a lot of people. There's a lot. That's my personal opinion, I guess. There's a lot of people in not good relationships, and they're abusive relationships. How far, and I wanted to share as well, can abusive relationships also come from not just the partner?
It can come from anyone. It can come from a friend. It can come from somebody in your life. It could come from an elder. You really don't know where it's coming from. It's more to do with the person's mindset and personality than your relationship with them.
How do we handle these kind of abusive relationships?
I think it's definitely about sitting down and identifying it, and being able to have a conversation. So look, there are a few things I want to say, but I don't think that when I see them that you'll be happy with me. So maybe taking a time out to be smart and not ask it last thing at night. Ask it straight after breakfast when the person's quite fresh.
Or fed.
Yeah, fed and not sleepy, not tired, not angry,
Right.
not nothing.
Mm.
But also say that bring somebody else in who's a safe you both trust, and kind of let the person know that you're going to be bringing these things up. So either they'll close down and won't say anything, or they'll understand that there's three of you there, and try and sort of talk it out and address it. Because if you are going to directly address it, you will get that emotional anxiety, that response.
It's not good. I feel like it's really, really important to feel emotionally safe. Now, can you ever feel emotionally safe with someone and then not feel emotionally safe?
Yeah, it can change. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you do with someone that would say to you, "Oh, I was your everything," but they're no longer your everything anymore? So, how do you deal with someone that doesn't understand that they've done the damage and it can't be undone?
So that's basically water under the bridge, meaning it's not fixable anymore. So the time, like for example, one of the sessions I did a few weeks ago, my client was trying to explain to me, like, this is how I'm trying to deal with it, and he just keeps ignoring me. And he, anytime I say, can we talk about this, he'll say, oh, we've got guests coming tonight, you can't talk about it now, or we have to be at a certain place at a certain time. And it was more clear avoidance and using excuses. So she did try in so many different ways to say, can we sit down? These are the things I'd like to talk about. These are the issues that I'm having right now. Can we sit down and talk about them?
Yeah.
And that relationship has broken down because I think she tried for about a year to help him understand. And I think that it can get to in some situations where the person still has feelings because, they're in a relationship, but they didn't address everything with relationships, with communication. Everything's about timing. If you miss that timing, the other person is now on a different road, on a different journey, and they're gradually backing away from you because they don't feel heard, they don't feel understood, they don't feel like you care. And if you keep saying the same thing and the same thing, the door keeps getting closed on you, there'll come a day, like, we talk about the straw that breaks the camel's back. There'll come a day, people laugh about it and say, oh, the cap on the toothpaste. It wasn't the cap on the toothpaste that broke down the marriage.
Everything.
But that was the last straw for that person thinking, oh, you've done it again. You left the cap off the toothpaste. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It does make sense. Though I feel sometimes there is that as well, but do you feel people can actually change? Have you ever seen cases where you've managed to save of what a relationship became as, like, that it was fine, but then became an abusive relationship emotionally? Have you ever seen where you can sort of turn it around?
Yeah, we did a case at the beginning of the year where one of our couples got engaged. And the next again, she phoned me at like 10:30 at night crying that it was over. And basically I spoke to her, spoke to him, and sat with her and made her see that she was looking at things from the way that her family does things, like her cultures and traditions. And she was trying to bring them into her marriage without consulting the person she was marrying. So he was saying, can we do this? And she's like, no, it has to be this way. And he asked a few times, can we do it like this? And she's like, no, it has to be like this. Then he's like, well, if this is happening now when we're engaged, you're not going to take on board my opinion, and my opinion is not important to you, then, it's best that we part ways. Because if you're not going to understand my perspective today on this important topic, as it goes further, I can see this kind of repeating itself.
Right.
So we talk about in a relationship is your two hands and your partner's two hands, and it's a circle.
A two-handed circle.
Yeah, two-handed circle. And
not your mother-in-law or your mom on this side.
no,
or
nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you've got your, so if you've nurtured that relationship from the beginning and you've talked things out and said, look, tomorrow, if you have many issues up with this, issues up, we've got, it is you speak to me and I speak to you.
Yeah.
And you're not going off talking to your family, and I'm not going to go off talking to my family. Alhamdulillah. And we deal with it together. That will be contained, just like the circle. It will be contained, and there's a far higher chance it will be resolved.
Okay, so there are times. So let me just get this point. Did we fix that one? Did you fix that, or did it get fixed?
It took a wee while to sit down and explain to him that she's only taking advice from her family, and sat down with her and saying, well, look, if this is a person you're marrying, his opinion is important as well.
Yeah, of course.
So when it comes to making decisions now, whereas when you were home with your family, that was fine, but now you're starting a new family. So now your decisions and your husband-to-be decisions are crucial to make that relationship work.
Right. And so that once they got the understanding of that happens, I suppose people need to learn. You don't really know, you don't grow up knowing how to, I guess, deal with relationships. But then, I guess through some experience, you would sort of, if you've got the emotional intelligence, understand these things. But again, emotional intelligence can be taught. Okay, yeah, so that's good to know. So in that case, you were just helping them to figure out little tweaks and things like that.
And it took that scare for her to realize that, wait a minute, what's going on?
I'm going to lose this guy if I don't understand. And
and it wasn't that what he was asking for was unreasonable.
No,
she was just going by traditions and cultures that she's always been raised with. So
and not realizing
that that how I've been raised isn't how this marriage is going to go. Like, and it might work for her family, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for him and her going into a new relationship, it is about understanding each other's perspectives as well.
I feel like this is something that can go both ways, as in it can be the other way around, where the guy's not understanding the girl, and this was just an example of the fact that it was that way around.
Oh, both ways, yeah.
Well,
sure.
So they're married now, or they're getting married, or
they're well on their way to getting married, inshallah. Yes. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
That's good. That's good. It's good those things were dealt with in the beginning, though.
It does.
The person recognized the fact that, okay, it's happening now, so probably not the best person to get married to. And I think I respect the person, you know, whoever the person is, that they actually were brave enough to be like, okay, hold up. This is happening now. Let me wake up before it goes too late and speak up now, or, you know, end it now or something. So I think that's a lesson or a good sort of thing to take on board, that don't let these things slide. Because you can either fix it by having that conversation before you actually sign the papers and make it work. Otherwise, if you sign the papers and later on try and figure it out, sometimes, I mean, you do have support sessions for that as well, if people are struggling. But you'd rather get it done sooner rather than later.
Yeah. And I think it's important to, as you get comfortable, to sort of expand on topics to get insight. And that's why I talk about the 4 seasons thing.
4 seasons. You gotta know someone for a whole year. Remember that.
Because then in those, as the seasons change, you'll be able to see, well, we had that argument, we were able to resolve it, it's good. But let's say you have that argument straight after marriage, you'll be scared and thinking, is this over? What's happening? So if you've got like a pattern of being able to deal, sandwich effect that I teach, you know.
The sandwich effect, I forgot about it.
Yeah, sandwich effect.
Listen to the sandwich. Could you repeat it again? Just in case someone else has missed it.
So basically it's talk about something good, talk about the issue in the middle, and talk about something good at the end. So a lot of people use it in professional environments, but forget to use it in personal environments.
I keep forgetting. You've discussed it a few times in these podcasts. So if you forgot as well, there's your other reminder again.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. So yeah. So what's your thoughts on identifying issues and problems and being able to find ways to sit down, or find a person that you both respect to sit down with and try and resolve? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I feel like, no, it's definitely important to find someone that you can actually talk to and discuss, because problems are going to happen, or uncomfortable topics may happen, and it's just about how you deal with them and have that sit down and have a sort of rational conversation with them. I feel like communication is key. I know just on my own personal journey, I feel like I've had to work on my communication skills, on how I might feel about things, and actually put voice out there. I feel like in the past I was really afraid to speak up. It sounds crazy, but I'm going to say that now. You probably know that because you know me very well.
Yeah.
I couldn't speak up because if I did, I felt like, I guess I'd be treading on eggshells, or, someone would say something and shut me down straight away. So I think it's really important from the get-go to have that voice, to speak up and communicate what it is that you're looking for, what you're going to accept, what you're not going to accept. I think communication is the ultimate.
The other person kind of knows like what they're letting themselves in for as well then. So
and you're clear, and both people can understand straight up. Like, and I feel like it's not even just the communication, it's actually discussing the topics. Because we're afraid to discuss things like finances, or, what were expectations of how much time we want to spend together, and our work commitments. And I feel like these conversations weren't discussed.
Lots of stuff. Like one of the topics we're going to talk about is it okay to have male friends or female friends? Is that okay? And is that okay for some relationships? It might work. For some relationships, it's not going to work at all. It's all about mindset. Yeah, it's mindset and how things are done. I feel like there is definitely a change in terms of, I mean, that's a whole other topic, but I feel personally, I know that there are certain sort of, not step back, but I hope to have that person be my sort of best friend. My partner be my best friend, so that way you're not feeling like you're missing out on this stuff. Obviously, I'm a girl, so I have my girlfriends. There'll be friends that are guys I've had before, but I don't necessarily need to make new guy friends. Does that make sense? So it is definitely, it's a very controversial topic, I think. And everyone's different. And everyone's, I think you mentioned this earlier in the other podcast, that everyone's understandings and everyone's journey is unique. That's the word you use, unique. So I paid attention to that. I like it.
Well, this is what's happening. I'm paying attention. You pay attention to someone, like Naseem, and have that mentorship. You can definitely turn your whole life around. And
it's amazing. Some of the feedback I get given, it's amazing. Like, I actually don't believe that the person's talking about me. I'm like, you talking about me? Are you sure?
Yeah, mashallah. It's just been so amazing. Like, honestly, what you're doing, you've helped me a lot. Alhamdulillah. And I've only just been part of this journey for a short while of your journey, so you must have helped so many thousands of people. And Personal Match has made 4,000 matches now?
Over 4,000 weddings. We had
it was 3.5 before.
2 weeks ago.
Mashallah. And just to note here, you did mention to me that of the people that are married, you haven't had any
divorces. No, not yet, but like I said, it's in Allah's hands. We don't know, like that could happen at any point. But I do think that it makes a difference with the coaching support, the preparation, the asking the questions,
the vetting that you've done on these people,
and then actually meeting someone that they have the skills to be honest and open with each other, and they're choosing somebody that they can see, that they can make a life with. And again, as I said, the ups and downs have happened, so they can see, okay, if we have we have a little bit of a tiff, or we've got this, we're like, it's not a problem. Like, we know how to handle it.
That is the thing, because these things are going to happen. Not any sort of marriage is hunky-dory or, honeymoon period forever. There will be sort of ups and downs, but it is how you manage and handle them.
And I think if you understand, talk about it when you're not upset, and say, look, when I'm down or when I'm having a bad day, leave me be. Men talk about going back into their cave, and they need it, just alone time, or men need time with men, as we heard in conversations earlier on today, that they just feel in the zone, that they need that, male bonding time, or just away from, and us women, like, we can cry and we can do this and we can be all emotional, so maybe you need a break from that as well.
I mean, to be honest, I feel like, the other night I had a girls' night. We did go watch Barbie.
Oh, I know. There's a Barbie's happening for a lot of people.
And so we went to watch Barbie, and it was just nice of the girls. And I guess so I'm not married, but my sister's there. She was married. She is married. She is married. My sister-in-law was there. She's married, and my cousin's wife is obviously married. So it was those three, and I said, you know what, let's do a girls' night. So I took them all away from their husbands and just had girl time, because the guys do it. And it's nice to it's important to obviously have that time
Yeah.
just the girls. And I
Yeah.
think it was nice. Yeah.
It's nice. Like I say that to everyone that I work with.
Yeah.
Always have something to look forward to every day. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be just going for a walk. It just
Going
could
to the
be,
gym.
It could be, that's you. It's only you that likes going to the gym. The rest of us have to drag ourselves.
I used to drag myself. Now it's like, oh, my go-to. You know, if I'm having a good day, go to the gym. If I'm having a bad day, go to the gym. If I'm excited, go to the gym. Everything is go to the gym.
Yeah.
I'm a different person altogether.
Yeah. You're on a whole planet of your own, Shaf.
I love it. I love this planet.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, cool. So, you know, we spoke about the abusive, emotional abusive relationships, and sometimes you can sort of mend things, right, and save them, and
Catch them early.
catch them early, fix the problem, and if it can't be fixed, you know, just walk away nicely.
Otherwise, it's a long life to remain in a situation like that.
Yeah, life is short, but it can feel very long if you're not in the right situation. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Thank you guys for listening today. So that was a bit of a serious topic today, but I think it was needed.
I think it needs to be addressed.
If you're out there and you're thinking, oh, I'm scared to say this to my husband, or I'm scared to this to my wife, and you haven't really thought about it, but watching this you're thinking, actually I don't like saying I'm working late, or I don't like saying I have to go here because I know it's not going to be received well. You know, think about it. Think about how you can sit down and fix that. Don't let it continue, because you know what, it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. So do think of a way that you can tackle it.
Inshallah. Okay, cool.
Thank you guys.
See you next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much for taking the time out to listen to this podcast. If you found this beneficial, give this video a like and hit the subscribe button to be notified for the next episode.